Hello, I'm back with new skills and new episodes and transparency about the important things in life. A YouTube channel is as far as you can get from anything I ever planned to do at all, ever. I like working from the back corner of my room, hiding and being in the shadows where I was always most comfortable. I believe now is the best time to tell the story because those wounds are healed and my perception is on a higher level. Leaning into the risk of doing something so daring has exposed several redeeming factors so far. I hope you will see my story as evidence that no matter where you are right now, you can follow what's in your heart to accomplish with confidence. Even if you start out lacking confidence and not feeling so qualified. I created this channel because I am compelled to impact, compelled to inspire love, grace, compassion, and joy for all and in all humans. Everyone needs to know these as their strengths that come from their infinite spirit. I'll explain more, or I do explain more about this in my newly published book, Be the Masterpiece. You'll find it in the description below this video. This is the story of how I began my channel at a very difficult time, but I didn't really talk about most of what was going on. Some of it I didn't really understand until a year later. I want to encourage you to answer your calling and take a chance on whatever you're compelled to do to add value to yourself and your world. It does make a huge difference. It doesn't really matter what others are thinking, saying, or doing when you take the risk of stepping into your vision and calling. You make multiple options available for yourself and others who are ready to receive the gifts that you have to give. Earlier in 2022, my sister died. She was younger than me and always full of life until her already existent health issues began to take over physically and mentally. I'm being transparent because it only takes one person to stand in the truth so that anyone else with the same experiences can know it's possible to find healing through love, grace, compassion, and joy. The rest of that year was a strange blur, spending time sifting through her many, many belongings with a new understanding of how she was suffering. Really gave me impetus to keep going. It was suspicious how she seemed to be planning her last day to be the same as the day our mom died in 1977. The way that idea evolved was darkly sweet, but very disturbing. I couldn't do any of my work that year, couldn't focus on anything. You know how when one more person we love leaves this earth, it provokes memories of everyone else who went before them. It was different this time. She was the first sibling to move on, and she was the fourth child in our family of 6. Fortunately, one of my nephews and his fiance planned their wedding 6 months later in the small town where my family is from, in the mountains of central Italy. It was kind of him to encourage me to join them, even though I needed to work at gathering up my excitement for the flight. It didn't turn out to be one of the biggest, sorry, it did turn out to be one of the biggest events in the town that year. A beautiful wedding on a perfect day, celebrating into the early morning hours. I stayed a week, enjoying time with family and considering the reality of my own health challenges. They weren't as profound as my sister's, but I woke up to the fact that if I'm going to live the quality of life that I want with sufficient strength, energy, and focus, I needed to make changes. It was that December that I had eye-opening events that honestly scared me. I had challenges with autoimmune and lymphatic issues for some years, but never experienced as much weakness and difficulty staying warm as during that winter. It was concerning because I'm hardly ever cold for very long and have always kept my muscle strength. It seems silly that at the same time, the irresistible pull in my heart was the idea of starting this channel. This was literally the last thing I wanted or should have been doing while I was feeling so unwell. I just couldn't shake it. And one thing I've heard over the years, or learned over the years, was to follow the compelling signals to take certain action. I have tried hard not following some of those nudges in my life, even completely distracting myself away from the inclination by getting deeply involved in something else. It would never end well, ever. And I felt like Jonah working way too hard to avoid doing what I knew in my heart I was meant to do. And that was causing all kinds of commotion inside and around myself. So, weak, cold, and emotionally exhausted, I started this channel, Compelled to Impact. I learned a few things about how to begin, but not really enough. I learned so much more from doing it wrong, and then recently getting on track to learn how to do it better. What helped was the fact that it didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to happen. Believe me, the first 3 to 6 months were far from perfect. I was awkward, insecure, and felt more than unqualified. One thing you hear a lot in the entrepreneurial world is done is better than perfect. So I wrapped a scarf around my neck to stay warm and freakishly muddled through one video after another. One of my mistakes was thinking I knew a few people who were willing to do this with me and would be supportive by allowing me to interview them and collaborate. I was wrong, mostly because we were not on the same page with the same intentions and objectives. I eventually needed to let them drift off and fade away because our paths weren't even close to being the same. It's okay. This was something I needed to do to get myself out of the background. During the entire year of 2024, I was researching and, sorry, 2023, I was researching and learning more about my health challenges and possible solutions. My experience is that I am the only one responsible for the changes I want to make in my health, wealth, and relationships through my heart, mind, and body. Basically, we each reach a point where there is this inevitable conclusion. I knew that I needed to incorporate the separate goals that would affect my private life, my health, my work, and desire to spread love, grace, compassion, and joy. I needed to enter each of these within myself daily to realign my spirit with God's spirit and rise above the mediocre status quo. If I'm going to be here with the privilege of living 10, 20, or 30 decades more, I want to live and contribute at the highest quality I can reach. This is the only way I can impact the world around me effectively, and as you already know, I am compelled to do that, as well as light a fire for anyone else who feels compelled to impact in their own way. 2023 was filled with deconstructing and breaking free from just about everything I knew, and much of what I had already built and done for business. I'm sure I mentioned this in a video earlier this year, and now I can see it more clearly. Breaking down is a huge part of breaking free. One of the allegories I've used for a long time is that it's like clearing out a closet you haven't organized in years. You need to take everything out so you can see what it is and clean the walls, and then sometimes scrape the gunk and junk out of the corners. The year-long excavation was time and energy consuming, though I knew at some point along the way I would begin reaching my goals of better organization and simplicity. In our home, it's typical to have a spot where we can each put things we're no longer using or need. About once a month or so, I take them to someone who distributes them to people who need or want what's in the assortment. By the time I take them to her, I usually have no clue what's inside, but it's a good feeling to know someone will benefit from our cleaner closets. However, when it's some of your personal elements, body, mind, heart cleaning, it's usually not meant to pass on to someone else, but to release what's not functional for you, to open space for something that will work. Well, that's it for today. I'll be back in part 2 of YouTube Restart, where I continue the story of this unlikely journey and how I want to shake us all awake to be more authentic and transparent, to bring more value to life. It doesn't matter where you are right now, your situation, your health situation, any situation that you're in, or if you've started something and haven't been able to sustain it so far. Your age doesn't matter, or any other limiting concept. You can reach as high as you want and create a reasonable blueprint to reach your dreams and visions. I'm Gina T, spirit-led life mentor and trainer, ready to encourage and support you on your journey. I appreciate you listening to this video and would like to know what you want to hear about after I finish telling you about this recent metamorphosis. Also, my new book is on Amazon and my website. Check out the links in the description below this video. Remember, it's okay to start over again. It's okay to make a U-turn or be silly. Savor every bit of life while you're here. And as always, live excellently, give generously, and love lavishly. Until next time, bye.